mine restored. This comes after a recognition agreement was signed between Lonmin and the Association of Mine Workers and Construction Union, AMCU, which recognizes AMCU as the only union at the company. Joining us now on the line is the General Secretary of Solidarity, Gideon du Plessis. A very good morning to you, Mr. du Plessis.
Thank you. Good morning, Sipiso.
What do you intend to do to register your protest?
Well, the first instance, we did refer the matter to the CCMA yesterday, and we've asked the Senior Commissioner for a set-down date rather sooner than later, because they've got 30 days in order to arrange the conciliation meeting. And it is just such an irony, and it's so bizarre that Solidarity has to go on a strike, a crippling strike, to get our recognition back. And that is basically because you've referred to the agreement that was signed between AMCU and Lonmin. And in that agreement, the recognition agreement with AMCU, there's a clause inserted that should one of the trade unions, like Solidarity or the NUM or UASA, that gets de-recognized, opted to go on strike as a result of the de-recognition, and if the strike is in any way having a negative impact or effect on the company, then the company has got the right to recognize such a trade union again. So it's extremely bizarre, but we are left with no option than to strike, with the hope that it destabilized the business so that we can get our recognition back, which is obviously something that I've never came across before in my life.
And how many people are you hoping to rope in to take part in the protest action so that you are able to destabilize the mine, so to speak?
Well, our membership is 1,400 at Lonmin, so in the bigger scheme of things, it's fairly small, but in the group that we represent, the skilled employees, there are 4,500 skilled employees, of which we represent about 25% of them. But we have also consulted with the National Union of Mine Workers, and we will most probably go on strike together. But from Solidarity's point of view, even if we don't get all the other trade unions to join in, all we require is basically the 12 hoist drivers to go on strike, because they are the key employees. But nevertheless, we hope sanity will prevail, that Lonmin, that will lose 60 million rands a day, will come to their senses and realize that it was a very bad recognition agreement that they've signed, and hopefully they will restore our recognition without us going on strike.
Mr. du Plessis, as part of that agreement with AMCU, what it does, it also removes what I understood that from the arrangement that Lonmin had with the NUM, there were two, the bargaining council was split into two, one for the majority and the other for the minority for unions. But now what this does, it just means that only AMCU as a majority union is allowed to enter into some sort of bargaining agreement or negotiations with Lonmin. Is this correct?
That's correct. It is a 100% shift to majoritarianism. When NUM was still the majority union, both the NUM and Lonmin still recognized Solidarity and UASA as bargaining partners. We were still negotiating on behalf of the skilled workers. There was no tension. But with this new agreement with AMCU, obviously it's winner takes all. You're 100% correct. They've collapsed the two bargaining units where we used to represent 1,400 members out of 4,500 in our bargaining unit. We now representing 1,400 out of 28,000, making us a 4% trade union. So it's a very skew way in which they're doing it. But the one biggest concern we have to is the fact that a month ago, Lonmin, Solidarity, and all the other trade unions and employers except for AMCU signed the initiative by Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe that in that framework agreement for a sustainable mining industry, we all committed ourselves to abolish the principle of majoritarianism. We've said, one, it's unconstitutional because you take the freedom of association for workers away to join a union of your choice, and secondly, it created conflict. So it's just this big irony that the first party to breach Deputy President Motlante's initiative and agreement is Lonmin, and that's where everything started. So yeah, we actually see it also as a matter of principle if we go on strike for Lonmin to learn a lesson, and hopefully this is the last lesson they need to be taught.
Thank you very much, Gideon, for speaking to us. So rather, Gideon du Plessis, if you'd like to listen in as we speak to the AMCU president, you're welcome to do so. Gideon du Plessis, the General Secretary of Solidarity. Well, we do have now